and welcome back to another edition of Veterans Forum. My name is Rebecca Jennings. I'm the Veterans Officer for the town of North Attleboro. And today we're going to highlight another resource that has some great information for those that are looking to go to school and learn about some education resources that are available to you, whether you may be a service member or a veteran or a veteran's dependent. So today we have American Student Assistant Steve Barnes on with us. Welcome.
Hi.
So Steve, we talked a little bit earlier about some of the great resources, and we're going to dive right into it. So what is the main mission of your organization? What does American Student Assistance do for folks?
Sure. So American Student Assistance, we're an education nonprofit based in Boston with offices around the state. And we're dedicated to eliminating finance as a barrier to education in general. So we provide assistance with a variety of college access services and making sure that students of all backgrounds can go to school.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about your background. What made you get into working with students?
Yeah, so I've been in education for a while. I got my
You're a teacher, right?
I was a teacher. Yep, I was a high school teacher here in Massachusetts. I got my MEd from the University of Massachusetts, and then I moved to Alaska for a few years, and I worked for a school district out there as well. In various capacities, and then I came back here and I got into higher education with American Student Assistance.
That's fantastic. So when folks come to you or come to any of the centers that you have located, that we'll get into that in just a minute, they're really coming to someone that has been through the whole process of, the FAFSA, the filing, doing the ACT, SAT,
Right.
and really you've sat down with students in the past and gone through this whole process. And you said your time in Alaska, you really got a lot of hands-on with a lot of these programs that were available that were in Alaska. That obviously we don't have in Massachusetts, but
Right.
it's great to know that that your organization has, folks like yourself, that they would be able to go in and with confidence to be able to get some of these resources.
Yeah, our college planning centers are staffed with well-qualified education advisors, not just myself. We have people of all different kinds of backgrounds and experiences who have, personally experienced the higher education process, through planning and, through finishing school and paying back loans, the whole thing. So we're pretty well equipped to answer any questions about higher education that students may have.
Yeah. So a lot of our veterans coming back from overseas, and they're getting out of the military, and they're realizing they want to use that post 9/11 GI Bill, and they just have no idea of how to go about it. And your organization is a great tool for them. Now, what type of services do you provide to the students when they come into because you do not only high school, you do seniors in high school, but then you do adult learners too. What type of resources do you offer to those students?
Yeah, that's right. So American Student Assistance, as a nonprofit, we have a few different kind of divisions. And I work in college planning services at a college planning center up in Brockton. And college planning services entails assisting post-secondary students, whether, like you said, they're 12th graders going off to school or adult learners, with whatever they need assistance with throughout the college planning process, from just a general college search, like if they had a major or a technical program in mind that they wanted to get into, we can hook them up with a school that offers that program.
So if they wanted to be a plumber,
Right.
you can look for, financial aid
Yep.
to go to that technical school, right?
Right. Yep. We can give them examples of different schools, whether they're in Massachusetts or in other states that offer a program they're interested in. We can help them with filling out the application to that school. Like you said, filling out their financial aid information, doing the FAFSA, the free federal application for financial aid. Institutional financial aid forms. So if a given school has other financial aid requirements.
I don't know what an institutional financial is.
So basically, some schools will have their own specific financial aid information that they like beyond the FAFSA, which most schools will accept. So they might have another form that students would have to fill out to get their financial aid package, and we can help them out with that too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty encompassing.
Yeah, we're pretty much a full service college planning center, and even beyond that, assistance with getting students into loan repayment programs after they graduate, letting them know what their options are, and general financial planning, best practices for
It's because it's
paying
scary
loans on
to
times.
take it out all these loans.
Definitely, take it from me. I know from experience. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Most
yeah.
of us will have our student loans to the day we die.
Right, yeah. So hopefully we can help students navigate that as best they can, because a lot of times schools just aren't equipped to provide that information to students as they finish up. So
Now, what if someone comes in and they have questions, and they already went through school, and they're having issues with their student loans, like they have to defer them or whatever it is. Do you give them resources and refer them over to folks that might be able to help them, or?
yeah, definitely. We just need to preface that by saying we're not financial planners or financial professionals. We're education professionals. So we can connect students to resources that can help them manage their payments. We can act as an advocate on their behalf if we're talking to the Department of Education who is servicing their loans. We can show them how to apply for repayment plans, whether they're income driven or if they want to get into
And there's lots of different plans out there.
There are, and they're always changing. So we try to keep aware of what's going on that side of it, so we can give students the best information possible.
That's good. Now, you offer free education and student loan repayment benefits, resources and referrals to service members and veterans. We're going to kind of dive into this because really these are the folks that really kind of, they come back from mobilization or they get out of the military, and you can't be in artillery in the civilian world.
Right.
And I was in air defense artillery in the military, and unfortunately, shooting missiles is not really an option in the civilian world.
Unfortunately.
So
yeah.
you really had to sit down with somebody like yourself to say, okay, so these are the things that I learned in the military, and how can we'll kind of dive into that, but how can some of their education they got in the military, like what type of resources do you refer them over to help them get credit for school?
So like you said, when folks come back from, whether they're serving overseas or if they're getting out of military service and looking to go back to school, there are a lot of benefits offered by the federal government, and folks might not be totally aware of those things that they can take advantage of. So we try to do the best we can to connect veterans with those services. You had mentioned college credit for service, things like that. So there's a program through the American Council on Education called they use the Joint Services Transcript to provide service members potentially with college credit if when they come back they want to enroll in a qualifying college. So we can connect students with the resources they need to fill out that application for the transcript and getting it sent off to the American Council on Education for a review, and then that group will send them a summary of the things that they did and if any of those will qualify for credit at the college that they're looking at.
Like some of the leadership, I know some of the leadership courses that I took in the military, they translated over to my business degree because
Right.
they were management courses.
Right.
And then I was able to basically use a lot of my what we call PT, physical education, and that translated over to some credits too. I don't think folks know that.
Yeah, and before I started with American Student Assistance, I didn't know that either. So that's a really great program, and there are over 2,300 colleges in the United States that'll accept transfer credits in that manner. So when people come back from serving and they're looking to get into school, and 4 years is a big commitment to get a bachelor's degree, they might be able to get a head start on that if they can transfer some of their experience into
Less
credits.
money out of their pocket.
Totally, that's always a good thing. Yeah.
Which is great. Now, the public service loan forgiveness, that's a resource that you offer. Can you kind of touch a little bit about that resource?
Yeah, so public service loan forgiveness, and this doesn't apply just to veterans. But
Anybody.
it's a federal loan repayment program that applies basically to anyone who, after they finish school, gets employment in some sort of a public service profession. And on the Department of Education's website, they have a breakdown of exactly what industries fall under the purview of that. It could be things like working in education, like myself. I personally take advantage of this program. Or it could be if you're a firefighter, a police officer, or if you served in the military, you would qualify for this. So basically the way it works is if you're on the Public Service Loan Forgiveness program, if you make 120 on-time qualifying payments of your federal loans,
so how many? I can't do math.
That would be 10 years. Yep. 10 years of on-time payments, and they don't need to be consecutive, so that's the good thing. So if there's a gap in your employment,
so if they defer it for a year within that time, that year does not count.
Correct. So it only counts while you're making payments and while you're employed in that given profession, unless you're a veteran, because then you can still take advantage of that. So basically you make 120 or 10 years worth of on-time payments, and at the end the government will forgive the rest of your loans as long as they qualify under the program.
But there's some programs they will only forgive $5,000 or $15,000. It depends on the individual program, right?
Right. So it depends on the kinds of loans that you took out. So if you took out a loan for graduate school, a grad plus loan, those loans, they won't forgive those. But just general Stafford loans, which are the federal loans that you take out when you go to college, usually from the federal government, the balances of those can get forgiven after 10 years. The thing to keep in mind, though, is that generally when you get out of school, the government will your loan servicer, will put you on a 10-year standard repayment plan. So if you're making your payments anyway, you wouldn't have a balance left over. So you would need to take advantage of some of the payment plans that they offer, like income-based repayment or extended repayment programs where they stretch out your payments over a longer period of time. And the Department of Education's website on public service loan forgiveness has all of the exact parameters.
Do you know the website?
I believe it's PSLF. Not off the top of my head, but if you search for federal loans, PSLF, that should be the first result there, and they have a whole list of all the qualifications. And what you need to do is you can either sign up while you're making your payments to get in the system and have them track that your employer qualifies and that you've been making payments, or you can wait until the end and you can send in your verification all at once. I suggest getting on top of it before that.
Okay.
Because
so what if what if they're saying you need 10 years? So you've already been paying for 10 years, and then they're saying you only have to be in this field for 5 years, but you've only been in the field for 3 years. Should you apply, or should you wait until you hit that 5-year mark?
You can always apply because it's cumulative amount like years of service in a given field. So if you say you're making 36 months of qualifying payments and then you switch jobs and do something that doesn't qualify, then you switch back, then they can still count that original 3 years. So it's good to fill out the verification form and get it sent off to the federal government to make sure that you can be in the system at least. And this is a program that's relatively new. The first qualifying people to have loans forgiven are only just now getting them forgiven.
Oh, okay.
It started back in, I believe, 2007 or 2008. And because of the nature of federal budgets, it's not a given that this program will be around forever. So always a good idea to get in the system while you can, and we can help you get those applications filled out and let you know the documentation they need and where to send it.
And I know that there is a program out there, and I worked with a veteran that was 100% service-connected disabled
Right.
veteran.
Right.
And he got his entire student loan forgiven because he was deemed as unemployable.
Right.
And he couldn't work in that professional. So that's another resource. But all of these are listed on that website.
Yeah. If you go to our website, asa.org/veterans, we have a list of links to pages on our site with information about all of these programs and kind of in-depth details about who qualifies and what you need to qualify, where you need to send that information. And if you come to one of our planning centers, we can help you with that as well.
Which we'll talk about in just a minute.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said about the permanent disability discharge, for for example, that's another federal program for folks who were disabled and deemed unable to gain gainful employment when they get back. They can have the balance of their federal loans forgiven, provided that they've been approved by a doctor and they fall under certain other requirements.
So that's a good resource.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, understanding the post 9/11 GI Bill.
Right.
So there's obviously a difference between the GI Bill that I got back in the day and the
Right.
post 9/11
Yeah.
GI Bill. You really educate the service members and the veterans when they come in, because they probably know a general overview, but they don't really know a lot about it.
Yeah, so the post 9/11 GI Bill, as the name implies, applies to people who served in the military after September 10th of 2011. So I believe they have had to have served active duty for, I think, 30 days is the requirement for that. And if you meet the requirements of the program and you get back and you want to take advantage of the funding, then they can use, the service member can use that money to cover the cost of tuition at any public university in the United States, and it will pay up to a certain amount towards private colleges as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and for folks who want more information about the exact parameters of that, because depending on your service time, you can qualify for a certain percentage if you didn't meet the requirement for the full post 9/11 GI Bill. On our website.
And those are usually people that are National Guardsmen or the reservists
Right.
that have a certain amount of deployments under their belt.
Right.
And you only qualify for a certain percentage of the 9/11.
Right. If they weren't necessarily, active duty in combat, then they can still qualify for a portion of the post 9/11 GI Bill. Yeah.
Okay. Military deferment requests. Did we kind of hit on that one?
A little bit, yeah, with the disability, but also you can get a deferment on your student loan payments if you're active duty military, or if you're not necessarily active duty, but if you're in the National Guard and there's a national emergency, like a hurricane or something like that, and you get deployed to assist with, handling that for over 30 days, they can put your federal loan payments on hold for no penalty, basically. And or if you get sent overseas for some kind of an exercise or something like that, they can put your loan payments on hold.
Now, the Servicemen's Relief Act interest rate limitations. A lot of folks don't know when they mobilize overseas. They have, underneath the Servicemen's Relief Act, they have the rights to be able to reduce their interest rate. What is that interest rate and what are the criteria?
Right. So basically when you take out a loan, the idea is that there's an interest rate on it, and when you pay it back, you're paying back what you originally took out and the interest that is accrued. Generally, when you take out a federal loan, the interest rates are already pretty low, but the Service Member Civil Relief Act caps the interest rate on those loans at 6%. And ideally, this will happen automatically for you if you qualify.
Okay.
Federal loan servicers are supposed to keep a close eye on which of the students who took out loans under them qualify for this program and report it to the federal government, so they'll cap their
But
interest
it's
rate.
best that they might be able,
Right.
if you call, if you get a set
Yep.
of orders.
Yep, if you call and you make sure your loan servicer knows that you qualify for the capped interest rate at 6%, and if you get back and you notice that, hey, they didn't cap my interest rate, there's a form that you can fill out to apply if you're eligible for the program.
Will they back pay it?
That I'm not 100% sure of.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, but we can put you in touch with the correct person with the federal government who would be able to help you out with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you had on your website information on SALT.
Right.
Can you talk about what is SALT? What does it stand for? And
Mhm.
what is it?
Yeah, so SALT is basically it's our organization's online financial literacy education platform. So it's a website, and it's saltmoney.org. That's underneath our organization, and it has a lot of information about becoming financially literate. Information on loans, things like that, for students of all ages and of all backgrounds. This information about veterans and things like that, those are from pages on our website, on the SALT website. So if students go to that website, saltmoney.org, it's free to sign up, and it'll ask you, some demographic questions about like what age you are, whether you're a veteran, when you're planning on going to school. And it can give you some detailed information to make sure that you're aware of all your financial needs as you go to school, or if you're out of school and you need help with paying back loans, things like that.
The website will give you resources.
Right. Yep. It'll connect you to videos, articles, things like that. And if you need more help beyond that, you can always come to one of our offices, and an advisor can provide you one-on-one guidance.
Oh, okay. Now, you just mentioned your offices. I know you have centers. Where are your centers located?
Yeah, so we have two main offices. I work out of the Brockton College Planning Center. We're on 27 Belmont Street in Brockton, by the new courthouse. And we take walk-ins Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. You don't need to call and make an appointment. There's always at least one advisor there to help students with their education questions, things like that. We also have a center at the Boston Public Library in the city of Boston, right on Boylston Street.
Okay.
So we can go there, and there are a bunch of advisors on staff there as well. We also have smaller satellite centers in the greater Boston area. But those ones, the hours vary, and a lot of those are by appointment only. So if you go to our website, asa.org/plan, that'll take you to a list of all of our college planning centers.
But the closest one is really Brockton.
Yeah, the closest one is Brockton, and we service a lot of the South Shore, from Quincy down to Plymouth, down to Attleboro, Bristol and Plymouth counties, a lot of the towns in there.
We do want to stress this is a free service.
Yeah,
that you offer.
all of our services are free. We're a nonprofit, and our college planning centers, we're part of the federally funded TRIO program. So TRIO is a group of federally funded education programs that was started by Lyndon Johnson back in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and basically they're set up to provide educational access and financial aid information services to students free of charge. So there's us, the college planning centers, things like Upward Bound, and
I don't think
things like that.
folks know what
Yeah,
Upward Bound
yeah, those are
is.
high school level programs, but those are under the same grant as us. So we're funded by the federal government. So all of our services are totally free.
It's good to
Yeah.
know. Now if people, you were mentioning a website. If people wanted to learn additional information, where could they learn that information? Are you guys on social media?
Oh, we are, yeah. Our main website, like I said, is asa.org/plan. That's the website for our college planning centers, which would have the most relevant information for folks who are looking to get connected with some educational access, assistance. We are on Facebook and Twitter as well at ASA Plan 4 College for the number 4.
Okay.
Yep. You search for that on Twitter or Facebook, and we put out links to our locations, relevant articles, videos for students, and they can reach out to us there, or they can go to our website and find our phone numbers for the closest center to them, and they can give us a call if they
Now,
have any
are you
questions.
guys, you reach out to the community too?
We do, yeah.
To help educate that you guys are there in the centers.
hmm
What type of events and things do you guys do?
Yeah, a big part of
educate
big
folks.
part of what we do is community outreach, because a lot of times it's just not feasible for folks to come in and see us. We have to go out to where they are. We'll go out to local high schools and do workshops on how to complete the FAFSA, the application for financial aid. We'll go to local organizations like career centers and community centers, places where people gather, and we'll do general information sessions on our services, or more specific ones about what the population needs, whether it's how to fill out a college application, how to fill out a financial aid application, or general information on financial literacy. So we're always out in the community doing something. So if folks are interested in having us come out to their location, they can always reach out to us and we can set something up.
To be able to connect with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything particular that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about to educate our audience on?
Well, I just want to stress again that even though we're a federally funded program and we're mandated to serve low-income and first-generation students and veterans and their families, we provide our free services to anyone regardless of their income, demographic background, anything like that. And as far as our services for veterans, it's not only for veterans themselves, it's also their families.
Yes.
That are eligible for those
Thank
services
you for clarifying
too.
that.
Yeah. So things like loan forgiveness and various other veterans programs. If you had a parent who was a veteran, and in some cases even a grandparent, you may qualify for some of those programs.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Veterans Forum, and until next time, we'll bring on another resource that will be able to give you information on resources that are available to you and your family. Thank you.